Okay, hello and welcome to another episode of Thompson TV Craft Time. So today we're going to be making our very own 3D beach scene. 3D beach scene. Now, when you think of the beach, think about what you might see. You might see beach huts, you might see shops, you might see the cliffs stretching up into the distance. Remember we looked at the white cliffs of Dover on Monday. So think about the different parts, okay? You need to keep that in mind when we're doing our 3D beach scene. Now, what you will need is, you'll need some bits of paper, 3 bits of paper, okay, ordinary paper, or depending on what you want to do on each of them, you'll see what I mean in a minute, you might choose to do a coloured paper as well, okay, but you'll see. You will also need some strips of paper, okay, strips like that. Mine are about 1 inch thick, across the top, which is about 2 or 3 centimetres, okay. I've got 4 of those, but I might not need all of that. You will need a ruler, a pencil, colouring pencils, some glue, and some scissors. I've got my scissors over here. Okay, so this is a great way and a great easy thing to make, really, and you can do it for all kinds of different things. Okay, so what I need to do first of all, because my 3D beach scene is going to have 3 levels. Okay, it's going to have a back part, it's going to have a middle part, and it's going to have a front part as well. Okay, now we want them to be about the same size. So what I need to do is, on each of these pages, I need to divide them into thirds. Okay, into thirds. So I need to think, right, how big is my paper? I'm going to take these 2 out actually for the moment. It's about 15, 6, 21. So 21 divided by 3 is about 7. So I'm going to need to divide each of these into 7. Okay. And just gently put a line across that one. Just so as I know. However, this one, because this one's going to be my background, I won't need to trim this one. Okay, I just want to put a neat line across there. Okay, that's my first one. So I've just put a line about 7 centimetres down on my paper. Okay, the next one, I'm going to do the same thing. But this time, when I've done my 7 centimetres, I'm going to cut that top bit off. Not the big bit at the bottom, but the top bit. 7, isn't it? Okay. Gently do it. It's easier if you do this with a bigger ruler, but we will do our best. Okay, a little bit off there. Easier. Okay, so I've got my line 7 centimetres down. Oh, I don't know if you can see that easily. I'm just going to cut along that line. And what you'll see, if I put these bits on top of each other, hopefully, I've got my back piece. This piece here, in fact I'll put it slightly to the side, this piece here is about, move out of the way, 2/3 of the way up, so I've got this bit at the back is slightly higher, this bit in front, okay, will be slightly lower. And this is how we're going to create our 3 levels. Okay, so our back one, we've got a full bit of card, or a full bit of paper. The middle one, we've taken 1/3 of that off, okay? And we've put that 1/3 in front, okay, because that's going to be our foreground, okay, our foreground in front. Now, this is where the fun comes. So, what we need to do is, you've got to remember, when we put these bits together, they're going to fit kind of on top of each other. So like our background is going to be covered by our middle bit, and part of our foreground, okay, or our middle bit I should say, sorry, is going to be covered by our foreground. So you've got that there. So you've got to remember the bottom of each of these parts is not going to be shown. So you're only thinking really about that top bit at the minute, okay, and a little bit lower. So on my back, I'm going to do just some sky as a background, but I'm not going to worry about this bottom bit because that's going to be covered. I'm just going to think about this top bit here. you might want to take a rubber and just rub that line out when you've done it. Okay, so I'm going to do some fluffy clouds, if you can see these here. So then obviously around your clouds, okay, you would colour that blue, and that's why I say you might choose to use blue paper and maybe do white pencil with the clouds on front. Okay, what I'm going to do as well, I'm just going to do a line along here that's like a little cliff top. And I'm going to do some lines coming off of that. And then I'll do, when I use some colour, I'll put some green along the top, okay, and then I might colour this front bit, maybe white or grey, or maybe like that sandy brown colour. I might put some little bits in here. I'm going to add some more, I don't know if you can see, I'm just putting some little lines of detail in, because this is going to be the top of my cliffs, but I'm not coming all the way down, because most of this is going to be covered, okay, and some of my cliffs here might be covered as well. Put some dots for the cliffs. I'll put some shading in there around these bits. Okay. I'll shade these bits there. So I've got my background scene. Now obviously I've done that very quickly, but that's an idea of what you might do. You might just do sky. I've chosen to put a bit of a cliff top in there as well. Okay. Then you can add your colour. I do that as you go. So you've got blue sky. I would put some green along here. And then, like I say, you might do your cliff in a different colour as well. Okay. So that's my background. I'm going to keep that and put that to one side for the moment. So my middle piece, so not my thinnest piece, that's my thinnest piece. But my middle piece is going to be kind of what's on the edge of the beach. Okay, it's going to be below the cliffs, but on the edge of the beach. Okay, so I'm going to choose to do some beach huts. Now I'm going to put a rough line, because again, I'm not going to need to use all of this. Do a rough line coming down here, rough line just coming across. Okay, I'm going to choose to do some beach huts. So coming in from this side, I'm going to imagine I've kind of got one top there, coming down. So if I imagine this is our beach hut here, and remember those beach huts in the pictures had lovely colours to them. There are often lots of stripes. I'm going to do another one here. Going up over the top. Don't forget to put a door in your beach huts here. Like I say, when you're doing this, you don't just have to do beach scenes. You can do this 3D technique in anything. I'll do some. What I'm going to do on there. I'm going to do. I'm going to leave a gap for the moment, and I'm going to do one just over here. At the moment, so similar to how I've done the other ones. Oh, I'm going to give this one a name. I'm going to call this one. I'm going to call this one Tides Reach. Sometimes they're called lovely seasidey names. Okay, so I've got my beach huts here at the moment. I'm going to do a little in the middle. See if you can guess what this is as I'm doing it. Is that giving you a clue? Can you see that there? I'm going to call this, what should we call our shop here? Well, let's be imaginative, let's call it Thompson's Ices. Because no good seashore is complete without an ice cream shop. So, what we've got here is our foreground, our middle ground, sorry, not our foreground. Okay, so you might want to trim down the tops of your houses a little bit. You might want to keep this bit at the bottom, but you can always trim down the middle here. I might do that in just a moment. But you want to keep that bottom together so this doesn't all fall apart. Okay. Again, add colour, make it colourful. All these beach huts and things like that are lovely and colourful when you walk along the front of them. But this is going to be the bit that goes in the middle of our 3D picture. So I'm going to put that to the side at the moment. And then this bit is our foreground. Now, you might choose to do the beach, which is standing in front of the beach huts. You might choose to do maybe a bit of sea. I think I'm going to do that, a bit of sea just along this bottom and then beach on the top. So I'm going to do some waves lapping along here. Think about how that sea sort of curls around when you're doing it there. Okay. Choose to do maybe some little bits just along the top here. Add a little bit of where the water is. It looks a little bit frothy. What I choose to do, I'm going to do over here a little crab, I think. Got these sort of glittery claw bits here. Very strange legs crabs. Made of kind of different segments. Oh. Okay, so there's my crabs. His little eyes coming up here. Okay. Might put some rocks around him. But essentially my beach is going to be quite a golden sandy beach. Again, I might put a little bit of shading in to give a little bit of texture. Put some random rocks about. Shade those rocks a little bit grey. So we've got here our foreground, and again, when you cut this, you might choose to just cut that top bit with a little bit of a wiggly line. Okay, so it looks like, because obviously the beach isn't always straight, okay, so it looks like a little bit of a different texture, not too low, because you've got to remember your bit over here, you've still got to fill that bit in front of it. So at the moment, when we put it on top, oh, sorry, there they are. Okay, our beach is going to sit in front of our beach huts, okay, and our background is going to sit behind them. Okay. So I've got my 3 bits. Okay, I've got my 3 bits. Now, obviously, I haven't coloured mine. You'll add loads of colour to yours, okay, and make them really good. But I'll show you next how we're going to make it into a 3D image. Okay, so it stands up on its own, okay, as a 3D image. Hello, welcome back. I've relocated to my normal art area. However, we are here. We've still got my 3 bits. As you'll notice, I've added some colour to the bits. Here's my beach. So I've put my water along the bottom here. Okay, I've put some swirls where I want that water to look like it's kind of swirling back, and I've put some sand along the top. Okay, so I've got my water there. I've got my middle ground. As you can see with this one, move that one out of my moment. You can see I've cut out the buildings so that there's a rough bit around them. However, what I noticed is with my background, because this bit here was coming down further, with my background I needed to put some bits lower down. So I've just put, here's my background with my cliffs and my grass along the top, but I've also just put a kind of roll of hedgerow along the back. Again, nothing at the bottom, okay, but a roll of hedgerow at the back. Move that a little bit there. Okay, so I've got my 3 bits, so I'm going to show you now how to put them together so it stands up on its own and looks 3D. Okay, we need that one on the bottom. And this is where these strips come in here. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut 2 bits off my paper here that are about 10 centimetres long. So I'm going to get my ruler. Measure here. 10 centimetres is there. So I'll put a fold in that. That's one that's going to be 10 centimetres. And then from that fold, I'm going to measure another 10 centimetres, which is here. Oh, actually, to be fair, I think we'll get 3 out of that. Give or take. Okay, I'm going to cut those here. It's nice to have a warm evening to be able to get out and do this. Okay, now you're going to want 4 strips that are about 10 centimetres long, so I've got 3. I'm going to take another bit here and do one more. Can do more. I'm going to keep with 4 for the moment. Okay, so I've got my 4 strips here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take each end and just bend it back a little bit one way so that it makes a corner in it like that. Okay, so you've got that, and I'm going to do the same with the other end. Bend that back a little bit, and you're going to want to do this with all 4 bits. so they're about the same. So you end up with something that looks a bit like that. Okay. So that's one. You want to fold back about the same on each one. So I'm just going to check where my one is here. And over there. Okay. Because you want this length in the middle here to be about the same. Okay, in each one. It's a fraction longer. However, if I do this one, same here. And there. Go. And there. Because what we're going to do is we're going to put, where we've got our folds here, we're going to put some glue on each of these sides and stand it on our picture so that they stand up like that. Okay, and then we're going to be able to put our, well, first of all we'll put our middle ground on, stuck on here, okay, so that it stands up, and then we'll put our foreground on the front. Okay. So we take our glue, doesn't matter so much where you put these bits, however, obviously when you put your middle ground on, you're going to want that to be level with the bottom of your picture, okay, because otherwise it's going to stand a little bit wonky. Okay. Take my other bit here. Okay, so got that there now. Now, this is where it starts to get a little bit fiddly. We're going to glue the top of these. That one as well. Okay, I'm going to take my middle ground, so that's my bit with my beach huts on, this bit here, and I'm going to stick it on the back here. Sorry, that one that. Let's do this one here. Stick that in there. And then what I'm going to do is, as you'll see, it's a little bit floppy there. I'm going to stand it forward like that. Okay. Oh, I think my back's going to flip down there. Oh, annoying, eh? So my back's going to keep flopping down at the moment. Okay. Oh, well, see you today in a moment then. Okay, see you in that moment. Right. Okay, and then on our foreground here, okay, we can stand this up a little bit in a moment. I'm going to put another couple of bits on here. And I'm going to have to be a little bit careful with this one because we're sticking up a bit. You might see some birthday cards or some Christmas cards which are made just in this way. They use these tabs to hold things apart. And then when it stands on the mantelpiece, it begins to look 3D. So again, I'm going to take my bit here, stick it on the back, pinch that together. That's done. Let's put that on there, that's what I needed. Okay. Right. A bit annoying, my background keeps, I'm just going to fold it over there. Let's see if that will stand up a little bit. Mine, it might be a little bit tall. So you'll see, if we look down it, how these bits in the middle hold it apart. Okay, we've got them there, or it might be the breeze that's holding it up a little bit in a minute. But then if I take my camera off, without moving, I'll show you how it looks when you look at it from the front. Ooh, a bit there. A little bit of breeze there. Okay. You've got the foreground, you can't easily see the cliffs behind there. Okay, but it looks like one big, let me come down a little bit there. Picture in front. So you've got your beach in front. Camera there. Beach huts behind, and then you can just see the cliffs. It's not easy in this light. Let's see if I can get there. Peeking up behind, it's there, and I haven't coloured my sky, but I've got them there. And as if I come around the top again, you can see that it's standing apart. There, you just got to be careful. My back isn't standing up at the moment. If I let it go, it's going to just fall forward, I think. Oh no, it is going to stand there briefly. And that is our 3D beach scene with our ice cream bits, our foreground, our middle ground, and our background. So 3 parts held together by those bits in the middle. Okay. I'm looking forward to seeing some of yours. I think, to be fair, card might work better. Okay. But you might be able to stick it against maybe something else. We will see. Time to get creative with these, holding these backgrounds up a little bit. It does just about hold up on mine, but I've got them there. I think it's going to go. Okay, I look forward to seeing all your different designs. Like I say, you can do different middle grounds, you could do different bits here, you might do more shops or some houses, and you could always do different backgrounds. You might just do sky. Okay. It's up to you. But have fun making them. I look forward to seeing them. See you all soon.